Jaclyn Johnson, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for taking a moment out of your day to talk to us about just basically you're like the queen. When I think of founders, like you're the queen of that. You are the queen of really seeing where white spaces are in this creator economy and just going like heading just head first in that and making it so successful. I'm so excited to speak to you. So first of all, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited. I know that my audience is going to be equally as enthused that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here too, and thank you so much.
Yeah, we've known each other for forever. And speaking of forever, I mean, I know Jaclyn Johnson from Create and Cultivate. I think we met in person in Chicago with Chriselle Lim. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, of course.
You were interviewing Chriselle, and I was up there with Chris in Chicago. And obviously, I know about Create and Cultivate, and I have spoken in 2 or 3 of Create and Cultivates thereafter. But now you're on a new venture, Cherub. And we'll get to what Cherub is. But I would love to know, like, after you've built this massive empire, this highly recognizable brand that is Create and Cultivate, did you have to unlearn anything from that experience to become a founder again at Cherub?
Yeah, so I launched Create and Cultivate, like truly, it started in 2012, but really launched like 2015.
Yeah.
And that's over a decade ago. And so much has changed about building brands, the way we talk about brands. Like at that point in time on the internet, founders were definitely not building in public. No one was talking about the mistakes that they made. It was really this like very specific point in time where the things that worked then are not working anymore, right? Like just too much has changed. So I think where I had to kind of readjust my hat essentially was what I know to have worked no longer works. So you have to really start thinking and really observing a lot of what has changed and what is working for brands now versus then. And really it's that talking head imperfect style content, that experience that is highly consumer, highly digestible. Very few people are going to websites anymore. So if you are building on that kind of medium, has to be hyper compelling, has to really hook you, but also has to give you that content and be a great experience overarchingly. And so I think for me, I was like, I really had to kind of take a step back and not be the expert and really just learn for a while.
That's crazy. And I couldn't imagine, like, I mean, you've been teaching people for so long to take that, like, but I feel like any founder is always in that position. Like, it's always like, okay, student mindset, student mindset, student mindset. And when you saw this problem of fundraising and you saw what was happening with creators and with founders, like, what made you think that this fundraising question, like this space, needed its own company? What sparked that?
So absolutely. So I've been an angel investor for over 10 years. And my experience in those 10 years has been that angel investing is very much a gate-kept opportunity. It happens behind closed doors. It happens in DMs. It happens on email. No one was really talking about it 10 years ago. And this evolution has slowly happened where angel investing has really become a badge of honor, right? Like people put it on their profiles. They want people to know they're an angel investor. Angel investing has also become a form of social capital within the world. And so people want to be able to grow their networks and be involved and kind of have this ethos. And fundraising has fundamentally changed for founders where it used to be something where it was all behind closed doors until the headline hit that you had fundraised. Who cares who's on your cap table? You got the money. To it's very important who's on my cap table. In fact, that's all that matters that's on my cap table. And the cap table has become this strategic curated experience that you want to share with the world. Parallel path to that, the creator economy has exploded. And now marketing is getting more and more expensive. Paid ads are out of control. Earning trust and community is extremely hard. Like every brand you talk to is like, I need to build a community. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. And so now brands are really relying on these creators. And so we've had this paid post economy that has been living for the past 10 years. And now it's evolving into from audience to ownership. And so a few different reasons for starting this company. One was every single founder I talked to was like, I want angel investors. Where do I find them?
Yep.
And angel investors were like, this whole process is extremely fragmented. I don't know who's invested in what. I forget what valuation I invested in because I invested 5 years ago. I want to know who's raising, but I don't know who's raising. So both people were missing each other completely.
Mhm.
So I wanted to create a platform where essentially amazing founders can connect with angel investors via warm intros, meaning the person's already expressed interest in your business. They've accepted your intro. You have mutual interests like tags, whether it's female founder, CPG, looking for $1 million in revenue. You kind of match on these different tags. So once you're already in the room, it's not like you have to DM someone cold and be like, are you interested in my company? You know they're already interested before you get on the call. The rest is up to you, right? And so as we're building this platform, I mean, the demand was overwhelming. We were like drinking from a fire hose.
Yep.
Over 2,000 people joined in like the first 3 months. You know, we were overwhelmed. And now we've really built this amazing community where over $8 million has been deployed to founders. We've just launched our new creator division where founders can work with creators on both sweat equity and investment deals, creating and enhancing their distribution as a founder. We also have private investing communities launching on our site. So I have my own private room where I do my exclusive deal flow.
Yep.
We're democratizing the investing landscape because there are so many good founders who maybe don't have a rich uncle, didn't go to Wharton, don't have the ins in Silicon Valley that deserve to get funding.
Yeah. And so that my audience is clear. And, that there's so many creators and founders that are going to be listening to this. Explain to me what sweat equity is.
Yeah. So a lot of people think to get a creator to post, right, you're going to have to pay $100,000 to that creator, whatever, $10,000 it might be. If you find a creator that's value aligned, hits your mission, they're passionate about your business, you could do a sweat equity deal. And what this can look like, it can look like a lot of different things, but you can say, hi, I want you on my cap table. I want to work with you. I want my product in front of your audience. In exchange for equity, I would love you to post a certain amount of times, do press for me a certain amount of times, attend events on my behalf, speak at events on my behalf, in exchange for equity. And that equity vests as they produce that content, as they execute on those services. And so that is a meaningful thing for the creator, obviously, to have equity in the company. And it's meaningful for the founder because it creates traction. Now, you could also do paid and equity. You could do combination deals as well. You could also have the influencer invest a little bit and do the sweat equity deal on top of it as sort of the cherry on top.
Yeah, and I love that. And I've been working on equity deals for about 12 years now. And it's so interesting because creators will come to me and will come to the agency and say, Idalia, well, what brand can I work with? And well, what if I post this, but they give me, 2% of the company? And what's really interesting is that in the past, you needed someone like me, like an intermediary, to really understand and to really guide them. So when I heard that Cherub was doing this, I'm like, this takes a weight off my back. But it opens the door to so many other opportunities, because something that you said, and it really struck me, and we spoke about it before I press record, was I'm also an angel investor. So let's get that clear. The second that I made it clear that I'm an angel investor, the opportunities that knock on my door, knock on wood, it's insane. I have at least 3 to 4 meetings a month of people for me to invest in their companies. But unless people know that, there's no open door. It's like this iron gate that you kind of have to wait outside until someone looks at you. And I think what you're doing is absolutely changing the game, and it's so needed, both for the creators that want to get their hands dirty, whether investing or sweat equity, or for these founders and for these brands saying, hold on, no. I can raise capital. Point 1. Point 2, if I want to bring creators in, guess what? I don't need to necessarily pay them anymore. Who are the people that are aligned with us? So there's so much of an educational process that I'm seeing happening with Cherub that is you really are making this information so digestible to so many people. So thank you for that. And with that, when we're looking at investing, and especially from the founder side, what do you think the biggest misconception misconception, what would you think the biggest misconception is about raising capital when it comes to founders, when it comes to brands?
I think it's a few different things. One is that it's going to be super easy and quick. I think it's a long process, specifically if you're going after venture capital. Angels, I think, are really the front door to your fundraising journey. Early stage VCs are, especially real early stage, pre-product, pre-revenue, are dried up. There's very, very few that are investing early. However, for the first time, angels have actually gone above the amount of capital deployed to early stage companies than
Wow.
VC. So angels are where it's at for that early stage experience. The other thing I would say is like, I think people go into this not prepared for the raise. I think that's the biggest mistake I see founders making. It's like, you have to be so prepared for this raise with your deck, your data room, all of your valuation, all of these things in mind. I think sometimes when you're early, founders will be willing to give up a lot more equity because they want to just get this off the ground. But you have to be thinking 5-10 years down the road and be really stingy, frankly, with your equity in the early days as you're building.
And what do you think the misconception is for creators then when they're saying, oh, well, Jaclyn, I want to invest in this company, or I could be, I could do swag equity. I could be in what's the biggest misconception you see on the flip side with creators wanting to do this with brands?
So creators, the things I have run into are that they think they have to be investing hundreds of thousands of dollars to be an angel investor. And investor number one, you don't. You can invest $2,500 to start. It doesn't really matter. You can obviously do as much as you want. Two is that I think a lot of creators think that they need to have 10-20% of a company for it to be worthwhile. And they don't understand the economics of venture-backed businesses where truly 1% to 2% is a meaningful amount of equity in a business if you believe they're going to go all the way. And you should believe that if you're getting into bed with them. And so I think that those are the two questions I get the most. How much should I be investing and how much I should be getting in equity?
Do you think that there's a minimum that an investor should have in mind? I mean, I know with bigger deals, we're looking at minimums of 50 to 100K. What are you seeing at Cherub? What do you think the starting point could be?
The average starting point is 10K. And if we're doing SPVs, it could be 2,500 to 10K as minimums. I would say the average amount is 10. I would say the average check size on Cherub is 20 to 25. And that goes higher, that goes lower. It doesn't really matter. But when you're bringing on strategics, and this is what a lot of people don't know about, is that if you're getting an angel investment from someone who is a high net worth individual, maybe you love, they're amazing, they don't really provide that much strategic value, but they have capital and they're interested in your company, you usually will give that person the 25K minimum, 50K minimum, like you said. If someone is highly strategic to your business, a creator, a former founder, a name that's going to get you in the press, someone that's going to be talking about your business, oftentimes founders will lower that threshold for that individual to be able to say that they are an investor.
And that goes back to what you were saying before, right? So before you would invest and no one would say anything. And now it's kind of if you have
just the name.
And it's so interesting because that is how I'm reading a lot of the pitches that I'm getting. It's you're going to be alongside this person. And I'm like, ooh, there's these flashing bulbs. Is there any yellow flags in that? Or is that always considered something positive when you see that you're going to be involved with such great names by your side?
At the end of the day, you're investing in the founder, bottom line. So you have to be fully convinced that the founder has conviction in this business and is going to take it all the way. The cherry on top and truly the real credibility factor is who's on the cap table, who are the advisors. Those are the stamp of approval. Hey, this person believes in me, this person believes in me. Doesn't mean that those people are going to drive that business to the end of time. The founder is, but these are all basically cosigns from top people that people are really excited about. So I think that's the way I think of it, is who's co-signed on this deal and do they have credibility and do I want to, be alongside them?
It's a little referral. And when you're looking to invest, what's the end game, Jaclyn? When people are looking to invest in Cherub, are we looking at companies and founders that want to sell in 5 years, that want to IPO, go public? What is normally the lifespan of an investment? And if you can guide me through what that arch looks like.
There are really three types of investments. And I think one is for social capital, which is where you're investing to create a relationship. And that could be with the founder, that could be like to learn about the team. Like you're really building that like bridge and relationship with that person. And so I'll give you an example. For me, my social capital investments, and I obviously believe in the founders as well, but like City Ramirez Chill House, Baba Ceremonia, a lot of these early stage female founders, as I was building, Create, and Cultivate, was a natural social capital investment for me. They help me with Create and Cultivate. I support them in their business. That is a social capital exchange. The second is investing completely based on return. Like my expectation, I know this company is going to exit for multi-million billion dollars. That takes 5 to 10 years typically. Yep. But that is an investment based on really seeing the future and betting on that founder to be like, I know you're going to take this all the way. Then there's the third investment is the support investment where you're like, I just want to support this founder. I love and believe in what they're doing. Do I think they're going to exit for $1 million? Maybe, maybe not. But I truly believe that what they're doing is good for the world, is something I need, is something I'm excited about. So you have to kind of like break out your thesis, right? So like when I'm looking at, like I invest 6 figures a year. I look at that total pie and I make calculations based on that. I would say the majority of what I invest in is social capital. I would say the second is for the exit and the third is for support in terms of the amounts.
That is fascinating because I had never heard about social capital. And now, Jaclyn, now you're making me look through all my investments. Yeah. But it's okay. Yeah. It totally makes sense because if you start creating this group of people where I scratch your back, you scratch mine, you're getting much more than just like that paycheck at the end of the road. You're getting something that may have a little bit more longevity, and no matter where you pivot, you're always going to have that community alongside you.
Exactly. And I would say some of the best angel investors, especially on our cap table, are other founders. You know, so we have Ali Webb as a founder on our Cherub cap table as an investor. We have Morgan DeBond, who started Blavity, as an investor on our cap table. And that's meaningful, but also like I support what they do. I'm also an investor in Messi, yes. Ali's company. So it's like, it's yes. full circle. It's like you write me a check, I write you a check, you know, yes. So it becomes this like reciprocal circle of founders supporting founders.
Incredible. You've been using the word cap table a lot. Explain to me what that means and why that's so important.
Yeah, so your cap table is basically your record of ownership in the business. So who owns what percentage of the company as you're doing your round. So obviously, as you raise more money, everyone kind of dilutes typically. So you want to understand what your ownership percentage is on those cap tables. So it's really important again. And I think now we used to be like, any money is good money, put it on the cap table. Now we're in the capital curation period.
Great. Let's say that I'm starting from zero today. I have no network, definitely no investors. I have no audience. How would I be able to use Cherub to get my first meaningful investor conversation? So I'm the brand, I'm the founder. What's my next step? What do I need to show Cherub in order to get the ball rolling with investments?
Totally. So I will say the first check is the hardest check. But once you get it, it's much easier from there. So as a founder, you'll join Cherub. We will help you build a beautiful Squarespace style data room that houses all of your data, tells a beautiful story about your business. The more information, the better. We allow you to upload videos so you can talk directly to investors. We allow you to upload press, your LinkedIn, like basically it's like your full portfolio of your business on Cherub. The most successful people on Cherub are the most aggressive. So you're getting intros, you're connecting with people, you're going to our events, you're out there in the world being as aggressive as possible about your fundraise, right? So it really is, it's not about, especially if you have no network, being like playing it cool. Like you actually want to be the opposite of playing it cool.
Yeah.
You want to be at every event, not shutting up about the fact that you're raising. Then I would say the second most important thing is having a really buttoned up data room, an amazing pitch deck, a 5-year fundraising plan, your use of funds, your P&L, your top hires. You're selling the dream and the team. And like, that is really where you're going to market with. If you are not ready and someone's like, I'm going to write you a $10,000 check and you can't get them that safe note in the next 30 minutes, that's a problem. So you need to be so ready for your raise to get in there. And then it becomes a little bit of a game of FOMO of like, we're closing our round, the checks are in, here's who's in, here's who's out. Like you really have to kind of create, in the same way you would a marketing campaign, buzz around your raise.
Fascinating. And it's so interesting because I think that in at least in like the fashion world, there is this air where you need to be cool and you need to be whatever. And I love that you're saying, no, you need to be aggressive. You need to get out there.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think that that's going to be such a differentiator moving forward, because this industry has changed. It is no longer that hush hush. It really is who is getting ahead quicker and who is getting, I guess, more aggressive. Is there a difference between aggressive and annoying? Like, what would you say? I mean, because some people may hear this and be like, okay, I'm going to call somebody every single day. You also don't want to be on someone's block list. So what do you think between aggressive and, just like being on like that block list?
Totally. So I would say like one of the beauty of Cherub's tools is that we allow investors to give feedback. So if it's a no for them, they're able to provide you feedback too early, valuation too high, too whatever. So you're constantly getting feedback. And I think that's the important thing, is to absorb that feedback and tweak your pitch accordingly if that's the feedback you're getting. So if it's a no, it's not just a no, it's a no with feedback, which I think is extremely valuable. Two is that like, I think you have to read the room a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, it's funny. Like people who follow up with me, I actually really respect, because sometimes I am just busy.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, it's not, so I think it's like, if you're getting a no, obviously move on. But the beauty of getting the no is to ask, can I keep you on my investor updates?
Yes. Yes.
Because the no might turn into a yes further down the line. So you can keep them in that way, keep them in that loop, and keep them engaged.
I have someone, right when you were saying this, I had someone in mind that she's, funny enough, she actually just emailed me 2 days ago with an update of her, like, hey, can we get on a call? I have these updates. And every time, and we've been on probably 2 or 3 calls, I've said, hey, I'm not ready. And I think that's like the perfect example of someone not being aggressive. But I'm also with the feedback, like, hey, no, whatever. And she keeps me up to date with what the company's doing, why I should invest now. And it's done so professionally. And so, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I get like FOMO every single time.
Yes, that's exactly the goal, right?
Well, what? But there's this very, very sweet spot when I see her name in my inbox. I'm not like, oh, there she is again. It's more like, like, I wonder what, like, yes, like, tell me what's going on. I'm interested. I'm really interested. What do you think, like, moving like 5 years from now, like, what's something you're completely convinced that will matter enormously for entrepreneurs in 5 years that maybe people are not realizing right now, or maybe they're underestimating?
Yeah, I think that we're at this inflection point with venture where VCs still want to gatekeep all of the best companies and really like kind of focus on that. VCs have been the key holders for a very long time. I think the value in VCs is going to diminish, and it's going to increase in terms of creators and angel investors. And I say this as someone who went to a VC event, and Beth Ferrer, who's the GP at Serena Ventures, Serena's fund. And she said, someone was like, what has changed in the industry? And she was like, it used to be a cottage industry, and now it feels like I'm showing up for a knife fight every day. And the reason she said that is because now VCs aren't just good enough for their money. They have to provide so much value for the best companies to take their check. So now VCs, you see A16Z spinning off, meaning like, we're a media company. You see Lightspeed hiring Claire Zhao. They have to bring distribution into their business now. So again, it's like, would I take a check from like $1 million check from Alex Earl or Lightspeed? Probably Alex Earl. So it's like, why? So that whole world is about to be upended. So I think thinking about it that way is interesting.
It's great, because I think the word VC, venture capitalism, like, you think of like these older people in like stiff suits and gatekeeping, and only we can raise funds, and obviously that's a completely different investing equation. But the fact that somebody now has the opportunity to really scope out different opportunities through Cherub, and I just think it's fascinating. Are there particular niches that you're most excited about when it comes to investing, or that maybe Cherub is like putting a spotlight on? Like, what tickles your pickle? Like, what turns you on?
Yeah. So for me personally, I would say women's healthcare is something I'm really focused on. So the menopause space, perimenopause space, early detection, all of that stuff I'm very fascinated in, and definitely am looking at companies in that category. The other thing I really like is more consumer tech in categories that I use. So fashion. So I'm an investor in two different companies I found on Cherub. One is called Isla Monday, and it's rent the runway for archival vintage.
Ooh.
It's awesome. It's like they have the most insane collections you've ever seen, and you get to rent these like archival Roberto Cavalli for 10% of what it would sell for, which is incredible. They're doing extremely well. And the second is a company called Button that is really trying to solve the like secondhand market. So obviously it's such a pain in the ass to put your stuff on Poshmark or whatever. And basically it's an all-in-one solution that scrapes your email. They're able to find all of your past purchases. You hit resell and you can distribute to Poshmark, eBay, Depop, like all in one click. So that one's really exciting as well. And so I am big on like, again, that like consumer tech that's solving problems that we all have and like annoying parts of that. For Cherub, I would say some of our hottest categories are food and beverage, lots of food and beverage. Like people definitely love that side of it.
I could imagine that caused a lot of stir.
Yeah. And then beauty and wellness, I would say, are big ones as well.
What made you so passionate about investing?
I have been a founder. I know how hard,
like, you're so passionate. And I mean, I know, like, I saw your passion with creators and influencers and bloggers, and now seeing that passion just erupt into something that you've been doing. Like, what's made you so passionate?
I feel like there are so many incredible companies out there that don't get to see the light of day because they don't have the pedigree or the sort of social background to be in the VC market. And frankly, I was one of those companies. And so I've seen it firsthand. For me, I'm passionate because I believe good founders and great businesses deserve to get funding. I don't think it needs to be just for the few. I think it could be for the many. I really like democratizing access. I feel like it's a through line for my entire career. So with Create and Cultivate, giving access to the best entrepreneurs, giving you the advice that you wouldn't get otherwise. With Cherub, giving you access to the people who are deploying capital into founders. I really want to kind of get rid of this sort of gate kept behind closed doors experience that has been making a few people wealthy to making many people wealthy. And so that is something I'm extremely passionate about.
Have you ever been in a room, and I know you've been in a room with very, very influential people. Has there been like one piece of advice that you've gotten from a celebrity that you can mention their name that just rang a bell with you and has been like a North Star?
Yeah, so I was interviewing Martha Stewart in, God, I even know, 2019 in New York. And one of my questions for her was, can you tell me about a time you've experienced imposter syndrome? And she literally looked at me and was like, I don't know what that is, and neither should you. And it really struck such a chord with me because I was like, she's right. Like, why do we have to have this feeling of like, I'm not good enough, I'm not the right one to do this? Like, am I the best person to disrupt the venture capital world? Probably not. Have a lot of VCs been like, good companies get funded to me? Of course. But I'm like, you don't see what I see, and you are the minority. Like, all these business owners are the majority, and these angel investors make up a massive TAM that, like, if just every accredited angel investor wrote one $10,000 check, it'd be a $3 trillion opportunity.
Wow.
So for us, like, we definitely are like excited about this. I love going against the grain. It's something I love to do.
So this is going to come full circle. One of the Create and Cultivates that I think I was speaking at it. I don't know what it was. And I remember I had never heard the word imposter syndrome in my life. Like, that was not part of my vernacular, no idea. And I remember, I don't know if it was you, but somebody asked a question to Whitney Port. And it was about imposter syndrome. And I remember turning to the person next to me and asking, what does that mean? And the fact that, and I remember that Whitney's like, yeah, but it's not like I don't remember the answer, but what really struck me was, why would someone ever feel like their experience isn't enough to share their story with? Do you know what I'm saying? Like that for me, like it never, I mean, obviously I'm not going to be an astronaut because yeah, that would be imposter syndrome, right? Like you have to like, you got to do some things, but most things in life, I just am such, I'm going to take that quote from Martha Stewart because I'm such a fan of not having that in your
Yeah.
library.
And I do think this next generation of entrepreneurs doesn't have it. I was on a panel recently where someone was like, how do you deal with imposter syndrome? And they're like, I don't. I think I'm awesome. Like, they're like, I think I'm the best. And I was like, that's right. But again, my generation was really the first people to enter those rooms where people were like, get out of here. Cute
Yeah.
idea. Go, let me talk to my wife about it. We had to experience those things. It's like we had to run so they could walk, whatever. So it's like really like, or walk so they could run. Yeah. So
do you feel like as a female, it's been harder for you, or that females sometimes don't get the recognition for investing that maybe our male counterparts do?
I would
And
say,
the reason you say this is because, and I always preface it, and sorry to interrupt, is because I've always worked in the fashion and PR world, which is mostly ran by women, right? So I have been very fortunate that I have always worked alongside strong women and strong men, but it's been women uniting with women. I've always had a very positive experience. And I would boldly assume, and I could be wrong in this assumption, that maybe raising capital or being part of this investment world may be more male dominated. I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
It 100% is. I mean, the stats don't lie. The stats are there. Less than 2% of venture funding goes to female founded companies. It's actually gone down year over year. So that stat first came out and it was higher, and now it's even lower, which is actually so depressing. So the stats don't lie. That's number one. Number two is it's absolutely a bias industry. And the reason for that is something called pattern matching, amongst other things. But basically, VCs, the way that they invest is they pattern match to companies that have given them good outcomes in the past. And so they're like, okay, the ex Facebook or ex Meta, ex Netflix engineer from Stanford returned me hundreds of millions of dollars. I need to pattern match my investments. And so if historically 98% of venture capital has gone to men, they're going to pattern match against male founders. And so it becomes this vicious cycle where it's almost impossible for women to break into the market because they're looking at us and they're like, well, that one blood company with Elizabeth whatever was really bad. So like we can't win. Yeah. So again, we can't prove them wrong if we never get the capital to do it. So it is this unfortunate situation, and that's where I think angels will lead the way, by, again, investing in these founders that, regardless of gender, are incredible business owners doing amazing things.
Jaclyn, you are a wealth of knowledge. Is there anything that I may have missed in asking you questions and really like guiding the audience towards Cherub, what investing is, how they can invest? Was there something that I missed that you're like, oh, by the way, they have to know this?
No, I feel like we covered a lot. I will say we're really excited. We'll be announcing soon. We're launching a Creator Angel Summit in New York City with 100 creators, and we'll be recording a creator masterclass on angel investing. So we're going to be releasing that, obviously, to help with education and that side of things as well. And our waitlist is open for creators if they're interested in joining and getting early access to the deal flow.
Absolutely. We'll make sure that we link everything to you. And Jaclyn, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is like, I leave conversations with you so pumped. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your doing, like literally what you're doing for this part of the world. And it's like, I cannot explain enough, like how much investing has changed my life, how much I've seen it change companies, and the fact that, to your point, you're democratizing all of that. I'm with you 110%. So congratulations. And
thank you.
Looking rock star. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Wait, I was going to ask, are you on Cherub?
I am. I have it up here. I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay.
Wait.
Because I was going to say, we got to get you on as an angel.
So